Have you ever wondered why only 2% of people achieve massive success while the other 98% struggle to get ahead? Is it luck, talent, or something deeper? In this video, we're breaking down the key differences between those who make it and those who don't, focusing on mindset, habits, and the daily actions that separate the extraordinary from the average. If you're ready to unlock your full potential and step into the 2%, stick around because this could change everything. Success isn't just about working hard. It starts with knowing exactly what you're working toward. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't often comes down to one simple but powerful factor: clarity. The 2% who rise to the top have a crystal clear vision of what they want and why they want it, while the 98% drift, unsure of their direction. Without a clear destination, it's easy to get lost, stuck in cycles of frustration and inaction. Think about it like this. Imagine two people setting off on a road trip. One has a specific destination in mind, a mapped out route, and enough fuel to get there. The other just hops in their car and starts driving, hoping to end up somewhere good. Who do you think is more likely to reach an exciting place? The same principle applies to success. Without clarity, you waste time going in circles, chasing opportunities that don't align with your true goals. The 2% define success on their own terms. They know exactly what success looks like for them, not just in a vague, I want to be rich or I want to be happy kind of way, but in precise, tangible terms. They visualize it, break it down, and set real benchmarks. A struggling entrepreneur might say, I want my business to grow, but someone in the 2% would say, I want to build a 7-figure online brand within 5 years by helping people achieve financial freedom through digital marketing. That level of clarity shapes every decision they may make. But clarity isn't just about what you want, it's about why you want it. The 2% align their goals with a deeper purpose, something that fuels them even when motivation fades. Imagine two students studying late into the night. One is doing it because they're afraid of failing or want to impress their parents. The other is doing it because they dream of becoming a doctor and saving lives. Who do you think will push through exhaustion and keep going when it gets tough? The second student has a purpose that's bigger than any obstacle, while the first is running on external pressure that will eventually burn out. Most people in the 98% chase goals that aren't really theirs. They follow what society, family, or social media tells them they should want: money, status, admiration. But when the road gets hard, they quit because the goal never truly mattered to them in the first place. The 2% succeed because their vision is personal and deeply connected to who they are. And perhaps the biggest difference? The 2% play the long game. They aren't looking for overnight success or quick fixes. They think in decades, not days. While the 98% are searching for shortcuts, crash diets, get-rich-quick schemes, instant results, the 2% understand that true success requires patience, discipline, and consistent action. Think of a bodybuilder sculpting their physique. They don't expect to get ripped in a week. They commit to years of training, knowing that every workout compounds over time. Look at people like Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, or J.K. Rowling. They didn't achieve success overnight. Musk spent decades building companies, failing multiple times before Tesla and SpaceX became giants. Oprah overcame years of adversity before becoming a media icon. Rowling spent years writing Harry Potter while facing rejection after rejection. The difference? They had a long-term vision and stuck with it, even when things looked hopeless. The 98% often get stuck in the cycle of instant gratification. They jump from idea to idea, quitting when they don't see results fast enough. They start a diet and give up after 2 weeks because they don't see abs. They launch a business and abandon it when they don't make money in the first month. They're looking for immediate proof that something is working, but success rarely works that way. The 2% understand that the seeds they plant today may not bear fruit for years. They are willing to put in the work now for rewards that may not come until much later. They embrace discomfort, knowing that growth happens in the process, not just the outcome. Discipline is the foundation of success. It's not about feeling motivated every day. It's about showing up no matter what. The 2% understand this deeply. They don't wait for inspiration to strike or for the perfect circumstances to appear. They do the work whether they feel like it or not. Think about an elite athlete training for the Olympics. There are days when they wake up sore, exhausted, and completely unmotivated. But do they skip training? No. They lace up their shoes, step onto the track, and push through because they know that success isn't built on the days when it's easy. It's built on the days when it's hard. The 98% fall into the trap of waiting until they feel ready. They tell themselves they'll start tomorrow, next week, or when life isn't so busy. But the truth is, life will always be busy, and motivation is fleeting. Those who win are the ones who act despite their feelings. The difference between the 2% and the 98% often comes down to habits. The 2% don't just rely on willpower because they know willpower fades. Instead, they create systems and routines that set them up for success. Imagine two writers trying to finish a book. One waits for inspiration, writing only when they feel a creative spark. The other sets a schedule, waking up at 6 a.m. every morning to write for 2 hours, no matter what. Who do you think will finish their book first? The disciplined writer, the one who turns writing into a habit rather than an occasional burst of motivation. It's the same in every area of life. The 2% build habits of excellence. A successful entrepreneur doesn't rely on the occasional burst of energy to grow their business. They create daily rituals, networking, learning, strategizing, that move them forward consistently. A top-performing salesperson doesn't just make calls when they feel confident. They commit to a daily outreach target, knowing that small efforts compound over time. The 98% get stuck in inconsistency. They start strong but quickly lose steam because they never turn effort into a routine. And then there's the grind. The 2% embrace it, knowing that mastery comes from showing up day after day. The 98% give up too soon. Picture someone learning to play the piano. At first, it's exciting, the newness, the potential, the dream of playing beautiful music. But then comes the repetition, the scales, the drills, the slow progress. This is where most people quit. They don't see immediate results, so they assume they aren't improving. But the 2% understand that growth isn't always visible. Like a seed planted in the ground, progress happens beneath the surface before it ever shows above. Look at the greatest artists, athletes, and business leaders. Kobe Bryant would start practice at 4 a.m. long before his teammates even woke up. He wasn't just talented, he was relentless. Stephen King writes every single day, even on holidays, because he knows that discipline, not talent, is what finishes books. Jeff Bezos didn't build Amazon into a giant overnight. He committed to long-term effort, even when the company wasn't profitable in the early years. The 2% also understand that discipline isn't just about personal effort, it's about accountability. They don't let themselves off the hook. If they say they're going to do something, they do it. They surround themselves with people who push them, whether it's a mentor, a coach, or a community that holds them to a higher standard. The 98% tend to make excuses. They blame their circumstances, their upbringing, their environment. They tell themselves they would be successful if only they had more time, more money, more support. But the 2% don't entertain excuses. They take ownership of their actions and their results. Think about a personal trainer and their client. The trainer holds the client accountable, pushing them to show up, lift heavier, run farther. Without accountability, most people slack off. But when someone is there expecting them to deliver, they push through. That's why the 2% seek out mentors, coaches, and like-minded individuals who won't let them quit. They understand that success is easier when someone is keeping them on track. The hard truth is that most people know what they need to do, but they don't do it consistently enough to see results. The 2% separate themselves by committing to discipline, creating systems that remove the need for motivation, and embracing the process even when it's hard. The way you see yourself and your potential shapes everything you do. The 2% who succeed operate with a growth mindset. They believe they can learn, adapt, and improve no matter where they start. The 98% remain stuck in a fixed mindset, believing that their abilities are set in stone. This single difference determines who takes action, who keeps going when things get hard, and who ultimately reaches their full potential. Think about a child learning to walk. When they take their first steps and fall, they don't sit there and think, well, I guess walking just isn't for me. No, they get up and try again. They stumble, they fall, they try again. Over time, they get stronger, their steps become more stable, and eventually walking becomes second nature. That's the mindset of the 2%. They understand that failure isn't a sign to stop, it's part of the process. The 98%, on the other hand, let failure define them. If they try something and it doesn't work immediately, they assume they aren't good enough, that they don't have what it takes, and they give up before they even get started. Think about an entrepreneur launching a business. The first product might flop, the marketing strategy might fail, but the 2% don't see that as the end of the road. They see it as feedback. They tweak, they pivot, they learn what works. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company before returning to make Apple a global powerhouse. Walt Disney was once told he lacked creativity by an editor who fired him. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. The only reason they succeeded? They didn't let failure stop them. The 98% let one rejection, one setback, or one mistake convince them to quit. Beyond failure, the 2% commit to lifelong learning. They don't stop growing just because they finished school or reached a certain level of success. They seek out new knowledge, new perspectives, and new skills. Look at the most successful people in any industry. They read, they take courses, they invest in mentors. Warren Buffett reads for hours every single day. Bill Gates takes time every year to isolate himself just to read and think. They understand that knowledge compounds over time. The 98% often fall into the trap of thinking that learning stops after formal education. They graduate, get a job, and assume they don't need to grow anymore. They settle into routines and stop challenging themselves. Years go by, and they wonder why they're stuck in the same place while others keep advancing. The truth is, the world is constantly evolving, and those who keep learning will always have the advantage. At the core of the growth mindset is self-belief. The 2% understand that their potential isn't fixed. They can become more than they are today. They don't look at successful people and think, they must have been born talented. They recognize that talent is developed through effort and persistence. They believe they can figure things out, even if they don't have all the answers right now. The 98% struggle with self-doubt. They tell themselves stories about why they can't succeed. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the right connections. I'm not naturally good at this. These limiting beliefs keep them stuck. Imagine someone wanting to learn a new language. The 98% might say, I'm just not good at languages and never even try. The 2% would say, I may not know it now, but I can learn, and then commit to the process. The difference isn't intelligence or talent, it's mindset. Every successful person you admire started as a beginner. They faced failure, doubt, and moments where they questioned themselves. But instead of letting those moments define them, they chose to grow, to learn, and to keep going. That choice, the decision to embrace challenges rather than avoid them, is what separates the 2% from the 98%. Success isn't about having the best ideas or the perfect plan, it's about taking action. The 2% understand that no amount of dreaming, planning, or waiting will create results. Only action moves the needle. They don't sit around talking about what they're going to do. They start, they adjust, and they keep moving forward. The 98% get stuck in overthinking, waiting for the right time or the perfect plan, but in the end, they rarely make real progress. Imagine two people who want to start a business. The first spends months, maybe even years, researching, reading, and planning every little detail. They wait until they have the perfect logo, the perfect website, and the perfect strategy. The second person, on the other hand, just starts. They launch with what they have, even if it's not ideal. They learn from real experience, make mistakes, and adjust along the way. A year later, the first person is still planning, still tweaking, still convincing themselves they need to prepare more. The second person has a running business, customers, and real-world insights. The difference? One took action, and the other got stuck in the illusion of perfection. The 2% have a bias toward action. They don't wait until they feel fully ready because they know that waiting is just another form of procrastination. Think about learning to swim. You can read books about technique, watch videos, or even practice movements on land. But until you actually get in the water, you haven't learned how to swim. The 98% hesitate, afraid of making mistakes. But the 2% know that mistakes are part of the learning process. The truth is, the first version of anything you do will probably be rough. Your first business, your first video, your first attempt at a new skill, it won't be perfect. But the only way to improve is to start. The 98% let fear hold them back. They tell themselves they need more information, more training, more confidence before they begin. The 2% understand that confidence comes from doing, not from waiting. Action alone, however, isn't enough. The 2% also have persistence. They keep going even when things don't go as planned. Most people start with enthusiasm, but the moment they hit a roadblock, they stop. Imagine someone trying to lose weight. They work out for 2 weeks, step on the scale, and see no change. The 98% get discouraged and quit, assuming it's not working. The 2% understand that results take time. They keep going, knowing that progress isn't always visible in the beginning. This is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. The 98% give up at the first sign of difficulty. They assume that if something is hard, it's not meant for them. The 2% see challenges as part of the process. When their first attempt fails, they don't stop. They adjust. When they face rejection, they try again. When they run into a problem, they look for solutions instead of excuses. And perhaps the biggest difference, the 2% are resourceful. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't say, I'll start when I have more money, more time, more experience. They start with what they have. If they don't have the right skills, they learn. If they don't have money, they find creative ways to get started. If they don't have support, they build a network. The 98%, on the other hand, use their circumstances as an excuse. They wait until they have more savings, a better situation, or until life calms down. But life never hands you perfect conditions. The 2% understand that if they wait, they'll be waiting forever. Think about someone who wants to start a YouTube channel but says they need the best camera, the best editing software, the perfect setup. Meanwhile, another person starts with just their phone. They post consistently, improve over time, and build an audience. A year later, the first person is still talking about what they'll do someday, while the second has a growing channel. The 2% take action with what they have. No one ever feels 100% ready. No one starts with perfect conditions. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is simple. The 2% start anyway. They figure it out as they go. They keep going even when it's hard. And they don't wait for life to hand them opportunities. They create them. Success isn't just about what you do. It's about who you surround yourself with. The 2% understand that their environment and the people around them shape their mindset, habits, and ultimately their results. They are intentional about the company they keep, ensuring that they are constantly learning, growing, and being challenged. The 98% often don't think about this. They surround themselves with whoever happens to be in their life, not realizing that the wrong influences can drain their ambition, limit their thinking, and keep them stuck where they are. Think about a young athlete who dreams of going pro. If they train with people who are unmotivated, who skip workouts, and who make excuses, their own commitment will start to weaken. But if they train with elite performers, people who push harder, expect more of themselves, and never settle, they will naturally rise to that level. This is the power of association. The 2% seek out high achievers, mentors, and people who have already walked the path they want to take. They know that success leaves clues, and the fastest way to grow is to learn from those who have already figured it out. The 98% often surround themselves with mediocrity without realizing it. They spend time with people who complain about their circumstances but never take action to change them. They listen to negativity, gossip, and limiting beliefs. Over time, this shapes their mindset. Imagine someone who wants to start a business, but all their friends tell them it's too risky or most businesses fail. If they keep listening, doubt creeps in, and eventually they give up before they even start. But the 2% make different choices. They find mentors who have built successful businesses, who encourage them, and who push them to think bigger. They understand that if they want extraordinary results, they need to be around people who are already achieving them. Beyond just association, the 2% actively seek out accountability. They know that it's easy to set goals and make plans, but it's much harder to stay consistent when no one is watching. They surround themselves with people who won't let them slack off, who hold them to a higher standard. Think about a fitness coach. When you have someone checking in on your progress, pushing you when you don't feel like working out, and reminding you of your goals, you are far more likely to stay committed. The 98% often avoid this kind of accountability. They don't want to be challenged or pushed because it's uncomfortable. They make excuses, and without someone holding them responsible, they fall back into old habits. Look at elite athletes, top CEOs, or the most successful artists. They don't work alone. They have teams, coaches, and advisors who push them beyond their limits. Even the best performers in the world don't rely solely on their own motivation. They create systems of accountability to keep them on track. The 2% understand that having people who challenge them isn't a burden, it's a necessity. It's not just people. The 2% also design their environment to support their goals. They understand that their surroundings influence their behavior, so they make sure their space, routines, and daily inputs align with their ambitions. Imagine two people trying to write a book. One has a cluttered desk, constant distractions, and a phone buzzing with notifications. The other has a dedicated space, free from distractions, with books and inspiration around them. Who do you think will be more productive? The 98% often let their environment dictate their behavior. If they are surrounded by distractions, negativity, or a lack of structure, they struggle to make progress. But the 2% take control. They set up their workspace for focus, they limit distractions, and they ensure that everything around them pushes them forward rather than holds them back. Success isn't just about hard work, it's about setting yourself up to win. The 2% understand that their network, their accountability systems, and their environment all play a role in their results. They don't leave it to chance. They make sure that everything around them supports their vision and pushes them to become the best version of themselves.